Chapter 99. This Sect Master. Alright, let's begin. With Gu Hai's voice, Mo Yika probed his hand and steeply. A signaling beam of light from the distant cultivators rushed into the sky. Countless generals immediately began to activate the formation as Gu Hai requested. Boom! In the four directions of the city, rolling clouds steeply emerged. After 8 days of business, nearly all the people in the city what Gu Hai was going to do, and on this day, everyone stopped everything and looked at the floating island above where Gu Hai was. Emperor Shu, Bat Ancestor, Emma Dongfang, King Shikong, Chong Sheng, Chong Wing, Qin Zai Bai, and the others were all staring at Gu Hai in death. However, they saw Gu Hai holding a golden chess piece in his hand, looking at the clouds in all directions. Rolling clouds and mist rose up in the city, becoming more and more numerous, covering the entire city in a flash. In general, where Gu Hai was, it seemed to form a shadowy chessboard with a faint bright light. The golden chess piece in Gu Hai's hand steeply pressed up against the Cheyuan position on the board. Snap! There was what sounded like a crisp sound. The entire metropolis city was shaken violently, and in an instant, a gale blew out of thin air, rushing all the clouds, all of them, in Gu Hai's direction. Boom! The rolling storm of clouds and fog rushed straight ahead, and the floating island of the ancient sea was submerged in the fog in the blink of an eye. Just as the crowd of the great giant temple frowned, there was another sound of falling. The converging clouds and fog abruptly split into 3 directions. It parted towards the periphery and formed 3 pillars of cloud mist that reached through the sky, leaning on the earth below and the sky above. Boom! The clouds and mist of the entire city all gathered towards the 3 pillars that reached the sky. The earth below the pillars all sank violently downwards, while the cloud and mist pillars above them boomed and crashed into the place of light and shadow of the Great Slaughter Imperial Palace. At this moment, Great Emperor Shu's eyes narrowed as a wave of anticipation flashed through his eyes. Bat Ancestor, Chong Sheng, and Qin Zai Bai all revealed excitement. Li Shenji's brows were deeply locked, but, at this moment, his gaze was pointed directly at where the 3 palaces were. Gong Yongsheng and Long Shenwu's eyes narrowed slightly. Can it be done? Gong Yongsheng's tone was filled with anticipation. In the Shikong royal mansion, Jiang was also filled with tension in his eyes. In his heart, he kept cursing Gu Hai for failing. Cursing, cursing, cursing. Boom! Steeply, there was a loud bang in the sky. However, the light and shadow where the Great Killing Palace was located was seen to steeply and violently tremble. The Divine Palace hadn't been affected yet, but within the Cultural Palace and Martial Palace, the countless dead bones on the ground were violently trembling, and in the image, the countless dead bones were even bounced by a seismic force and jumped up in general. Success, Qin Zai Bai said in steep ecstasy. Earlier, no one could touch that small world. No one could touch, much less affect that small world. Now, as the 3 cloud pillars rushed into the sky, each rushing a palace, the Palace of Literature and the Palace of Martial Arts was steeply shaken. It clearly touched, connecting the virtual with the real. Great Emperor Shu's face was slightly eased. His eyes were however blossoming with a glimmer of light. Mr. Dongfang, you lied to me. King Shikong abruptly looked at Mr. Dongfang with a wildly changed face. How could it succeed? The 30 heavens and earth vertical formation. With Gu Hai's knowledge, it's impossible. Mr. Dongfang spoke in a gloomy tone. What? Mr. Dongfang, you don't want me to get what's inside early. Emperor Shu, however, gave Mr. Dongfang a cold look. Naturally not. I just didn't expect it. Mr. Dongfang shook his head. Bat Ancestor stared at Gu Hai, but he revealed a cold smile. In the distance, Li Shenji, Long Shenwu, and Gong Yangsheng were suddenly breathing heavily in general. It's a done deal. Each of the 3 looked towards the palace they needed. How is it possible? How did it become a success? No, No, no. Xiong steeped his face in horror. Young prince, what now? The broken-armed guard at the side exclaimed. Again, Gu Hai let out a loud shout and slapped the chess piece in his hand once again. Snap! The power from the four directions grand formation from all over the city boomed and converged on the three cloud pillars once again. Boom, boom, boom. Three super loud noises. The earth below the cloud mist pillars all shook again, while above, at the cultural palace and the martial palace, a large number of cracks were abruptly knocked out by the three cloud mist pillars. Ka-ka-ka-ka-ka-ka. At the place of the Palace of Literature and the Palace of Martial Arts, cracks appeared in the void, and it seemed that the small world barrier was completely broken. Only the Divine Palace remained stable. Mr. Gu did it. Mr. Gu is awesome. Countless people in the city looked towards where Gu Hai was in shock. Mr. Gu, one more time, and it will be completely broken open. Mo Yaika was also excited. Gu Hai, however, did not continue, but steeply turned his head and looked towards the Shikong King's mansion. Shu, a flying boat, however, took this opportunity to head straight outside the city. Nowadays, in order to set up the 30 heavens and earth vertical and horizontal formation, the defending formation of Metropolis City was not opened, and at this moment, the flying boat turned its eyes and arrived at the city wall. Not good, it's Xiong. And that broken arm guard, they escaped. Mo Yaika's face changed. Gu Hai's eyes were cold, his probing hand golden chess piece slightly pinched. Buzz. The storm coming from all around, but it steeply condensed 100 feet tall huge cloud beast. In the four directions, a group of strong people frowned. At this time, what cloud beast are you condensing? However, no one blocked it. My son, run, quick. King Shikong, however, roared in steep panic. It was because King Shikong understood that Gu Hai was now coalescing characters for no other reason than to kill Xiong. On the flying boat, Xiong's face showed panic as the broken-armed guards frantically maneuvered the flying boat. The cloud beast slowly coalesced and slowly coalesced into a woman wearing a gorgeous robe. In front of the woman, there was a loom. This cloud beast woman using a loom. In the distance, Long Shenwu was slightly stunned. Mo Yaika also revealed a bewildered look. Originally thought that Gu Hai had coalesced Dorko Kurenai or Zhong Sanfeng, but how did Gu Hai coalesce a new character? This new character, or a woman, a feminine woman who is picking needles and threads. What about the loom? A loom is a weapon. What is this? Are you kidding me? So charming. Countless people looked at the cloud beast woman in surprise. The woman's appearance, enchanting and charming, made people look at it and be amazed, but using a loom as a weapon. Are you kidding? Carrying it up to smash people. Great Emperor Shu didn't intervene. It was as if he let Gu Hai do what he did. Gu Hai understood what Great Emperor Shu meant. If you have the ability, do it yourself. If you don't have the ability, blame no one else. Oh, this time, Mr. Gu doesn't need to merge with the cloud beast. Qin Zaibai was slightly stunned. When the 29 heaven and earth vertical formation was in place, Gu Hai needed to stand on top of the cloud beast's head, but this time there was no need. What a delicate woman. Bat Ancestor frowned. Not good, Mr. Gu. Xiong has flown out of the range of the grand formation. He flew out of the city. Mo Yaika's face changed. When the 29 great formations were in place, all the behavior of the cloud beasts would not go beyond the range of the great formation. But now, Xiong had escaped. What about this? Ha ha ha, quick, we escaped, hurry. In the distance, Xiong suddenly let out a long breath and shouted excitedly. Shu. The flying boat flew towards the distance outside the city. Want to go? HMPH. Gu Hai let out a cold snort. As he catalyzed in his hand, he saw that cloud beast woman, suddenly waving the array of needles and threads on the loom. Who are you? The cloud beast woman flung her wrist. 10 fine needles flew out steeply, and on top of each of them, a thin red thread was attached. Shoo! The 10 fine needles, as the woman waved her hand, turned into 10 streams of light that shot straight out, instantly rushing out of the city, rushing out of the great formation and away. So fast, a kind of strong person in the city steeply changed his face. No, Xiong's face abruptly changed wildly. He and the broken-armed guards each took out their magic treasures and shields to block the front. Barely. The magic treasures and shields were all pierced open by the fine needles, which rushed straight towards the two of them. The needles stopped abruptly. The distant flying boat steeply planted into the valley, while the needles were steeply stabbing the two people in the distance. It fixed the two in the air. The cloud beast woman gently pulled the thin thread. Whew! The two were instantly pulled back by two huge forces, and in just a moment, they were all pulled in front of Gu Hai. Whew! The speed was too fast as the two pulled, but their whole body was grinding out flames in general. Yet, they saw the needles and threads pass through the hands and feet of the two. The broken-armed guards of the heaven-opening palace didn't have an ounce of resistance in front of these needles and threads. Gu Hai, don't kill me, don't kill me, Xiong shrieked. Mr. Gu, it's all because of Xiong. That day it was all because of him. It has nothing to do with me or. It has nothing to do with me. The broken arm guard shrieked. Gu Hai, never kill innocents in vain. You too assassinated me. I even let you off once, but you don't know how to repent. Assassinated me again. Killed my wife. This hatred is not shared. No need to ask for more, Gu Hai said in a deep voice. The people of the entire city were slightly stunned when they heard Gu Hai's words. So Xiong killed Mr. Gu's wife. Serves them right. Mr. Gu even spared them once, and they still don't know how to repent. Mr. Gu, good killing. The people in the city were all shouting at once. King Shikong also shouted in horror. Gu Hai, what conditions do you have? You quickly say. I will promise you everything. Let my son go. You pull him back. That's what there is to talk about. You say. Gu Hai, however, took a deep breath and said, pulling them back. It's not having a talk. It's getting close enough to see clearly. Don't kill the wrong person. As he spoke, the cloud beast woman flicked her fingertips enchantingly. Boom! The two people connected by needles and threads exploded apart, blood mist rising in all directions. Xiong, the broken-armed guard, just exploded. The people of the city, however, were shouting. Only a few sucked in a cold breath. Who was this cloud beast woman? Fingers. She just moved her finger, picked a needle and thread, and killed that broken-armed guard of the heaven-opening palace. Gu Hai, you killed my son. I want you dead. King Shikong went mad and was about to charge. Ding! The cloud beast woman's wintry eyes went cold, and her finger slightly flicked. Steeply, another needle and thread went straight towards King Shikong, so fast that it reached the place where King Shikong's brow stopped in almost an instant. Almost, it shot in. The mad King Shikong had a sudden jolt and instantly came to his senses. His entire body's sweaty hairs exploded, and in the center of his eyebrows, the fine needle emitted a buzzing sound. If it wasn't for the cloud beast woman withdrawing her hand, that needle would have already taken his life. Gu Hai's gaze was cold, and the cloud beast woman's gaze was also cold. With that look, as long as King Shikong rushed up again, she would immediately want him dead. Shikong, unbridled, Great Empress Shu said in a cold voice. King Shikong's face changed, and he retreated back with a hint of horror. But looking at the sky full of blood and mist remnants of corpses, King Shikong was the one with boundless resentment in his eyes. Good weaver girl, who is she? Great Empress Shu looked towards Gu Hai. With a hint of dissatisfaction, the cloud beast woman coldly looked at Empress Shu and let out a manly voice. This sect master, Dongfang Bubu.